Hey, just got finished listening to Larry Snow's interview with Dave Johnson about the national certification. And just let me just tell everybody, pump your brakes a little bit. Pump your brakes. First, I want to thank Larry Snow for following up and staying on top of this national certification. Larry is the president of the business of security, and once again, he's on the forefront of this issue. Well, not issue, but more so, the certification is coming up and has become an issue in the industry. Some people are for it, some people are against it, some people are in between, don't know how to take it. But Larry's been on the forefront of this and keeping us abreast of what's going on. A couple of days prior, probably a week prior to the interview, he put out on social media if there were any questions that we had from the body of specialists and experts and leaders that we wanted to present to Dave, that he would take them and ask them. And during the interview, if you haven't listened to it, you need to go to it, tbos.tv, and you'll see the interview on it with Dave Johnson. And he got questions from myself, obviously, Mark Fair, Mark James, and Daryl Biggs. And the questions were actually very relevant in the sense of the concerns that each of us have, or the things that could be concerns later on down the line. And I think Larry did a good job presenting them. I think Dave did a good job of answering the questions based off of what he knows now. In no way did I feel that Dave was holding back on anything. He was honest when he said he didn't have answers for certain things, and I can appreciate that. One of the things that I got out of this whole interview is the exam has not been written yet. And that's fine as far as I'm concerned. But the key thing here was that candidate evaluation committee. They have a lot of work ahead of them and a lot of decisions to make. That's where the crux of the industry is either going to get swept away, or they're going to be finding themselves trying to play catch up, because they're the ones that's going to determine what is tenure, what is the sum total of tenure. Time in the industry doesn't necessarily mean that you have that much time and experience, and they're the ones that are going to have to dissect that and, as Dave said, pie it up and put it all together. Some of the candidates that are going to try to take this test or want to be assessed to figure out if they're qualified to take this test are going to find that they don't have all the requisite training that they need to get on this test. If you listen to Dave Johnson's interview previously and this one, there was one common theme that he has said in both of those interviews, and that was AOP drills, attack on principle drills. If you've attended a school that does not, at the conclusion or somewhere near the conclusion of school, do AOP drills, you've been shortchanged. Now, AOP drills are different than immediate action drills. AOP drills are specific to executive protection training and the culmination of the sum total of everything you learned that week. So if you don't have AOP drills in your, or you haven't had AOP drills in your training, you may fall short of the requisite training for this testing. And I'm only going, that's not something I know personally from Dave, but that's something I've been listening to on each one of his interviews. He's always mentioned AOPs, attack on principle drills. So that's something you want to keep in mind. One of the other things I was happy to hear Dave say is that the committee will not be recommending schools or training academies where students or candidates can go to get trained up for the certification. I think they should stay out of the business of doing that, because it'll come across as being biased. What will happen, or what should happen, is as the committee releases the prerequisites for the testing, that the schools will grab that pamphlet and look at their curriculum and make an honest assessment of where they're deficient in or where they're good in. And then as students go through and they take their course and eventually take the certification once they have their tenure under their belts and they pass, the schools can then mark it, say, we have a such and such percentage success rate of our students passing the national certification. And that's how you'll be able to draw more people into your schools. But it should not be upon it should not be part of the committee's responsibility of recommending schools, because I think that'll start off a big problem in terms of doubt and bias in the committee's validity. And lastly, remember the big fuss everybody was making about me talking about this mentorship and mentor programs? What I'm going to tell you right now, mentoring is going to be the key to success in this national certification. You heard it from Dave himself. I have 100% success rate in the mentor program that I put together. And the program is based off of the SMART program. SMART, S stands for specific goals. M stands for measurable goals. A is attainable. R is realistic. And T is for time measurable. And that's the program that I put together for the people that I've mentored on a business level and on a specialist level. And if you want to talk to me offline, I'm not going to name their names. You know some of them by on the blog, but that's a 100% success rate from the business perspective and from the specialist perspective. So if you're not into mentoring, you better get into it now, because if you're a trainer out there and you don't mentor your students, the word is going to get back that you're not preparing your people for this national certification, because it's going to go forward and you either have to be with the program or against the program. But it's no sense people coming to you to make money off of your training program if you're not fully equipping them for this national certification. So that's all I have to say about the interview. Once again, Larry, great job on staying on top of what's going on. I've had several email dialogues and one phone conversation with Dave in the past. I think a phone conversation with Dave in the past, and I've been asking him specific questions outside of what Larry asked that I don't want to disclose on the internet, because I'm not sure if Dave wants that information out. But the bottom line is Larry's staying on top of this, and I think that everybody is still waiting for this to happen. The last thing, I'll end this with the same way I started off. Pump your brakes, pump your brakes. No sense in getting upset right now. As it unfolds, we'll stay on top of it and we'll get everybody prepared for it. In other industry news, the French equivalent to the United States Secret Service, which is the GSPR, was recently going to Rio de Janeiro to take their new president, Francois Hollande, to the Rio Earth Summit. When they landed in Brazil, they realized that somebody forgot to pack the guns. I can only imagine what they were saying when they got to that airport.
Where is my luggage? Où sont mes bagages? Où sont mes bagages?
Every last one of us, at least the majority of us, have a nightmare story or a horror story about packing. Most of us have forgotten something, down to belts or ties, socks, or we put stuff in our luggage that shouldn't be there. But at the end of the day, packing is an art. It is an absolute art.
Don't let this be your packing experience.
Now, to the defense of the GSPR, they went on as business as usual without any guns. And they said they were prepared to defend and protect their president even with their bare hands. President Francois Hollande made it back to France safely. And for the guy who was responsible for packing, well, let's say... This week's tip of the week has nothing to do with protection, has nothing to do with tactics, and no, it has nothing to do with guns. In the past, I've only made one solid recommendation on a book, but I've made many suggestions on readings that you should take in consideration to further your career or further your mindset. But here's my second recommendation. It's a book that was released yesterday by a good friend of mine. The name of the book is Powerful Peace by J. Robert Dubois, a Navy SEAL's lesson on peace from a lifetime at war. Now, Rob gave me an opportunity to read this book several months back before it was actually published, and I highly recommend this for everyone to read. It is a great read. Absolutely great read. I'm going to leave the link below. You can get it from Amazon.com or you can get it from the powerfulpeace.net website, but it's a must read, and I'm highly recommending this book for everyone. So that you know, I'm not getting anything from this. No kickbacks or nothing like that. Rob is a good friend. He's a solid guy, and he's one of the guys in the Navy SEAL community that other Navy SEALs look up to. So I just want to make that recommendation. Get that book. You will not be disappointed. Before you send this up to the board to be assessed on whether or not you can take the national certification test, are you sure you have 2 years of experience?